Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this presentation are those of the individual presenter, and do not necessarily represent the views or opinions of the presenter's company. All information provided in this presentation is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be taken as legal, financial, or professional advice. The presenter acknowledges and respects the copyright of all sources referenced in this presentation and does not claim any ownership over them. This presentation is intended for personal interpretation only and is not to be distributed or reproduced without the consent of the presenter. Background. The Russia-Ukraine war has an impact on the international trade structure, particularly on the agricultural commodity balance, with wheat, corn, and sunflower seed being the priority commodity exports of the two countries. The Russia-Ukraine war has an impact on the international trade supply chain due to both countries dominating the world's supply of wheat, corn, and sunflower seed. The changes in the agricultural commodity balance, on the other hand, cause an increase in demand for crude palm oil, CPO, as a substitution for sunflower seed, and Indonesia, being one of the world's top producers of CPO, will benefit from the price increase of CPO. The war's impacts and international trade structure changing caused by the war need to be further studied to ensure that the Indonesian economy remains safe and continues to grow. In this video, we will discuss several things. First, let us talk about the factors that which cause the war, focusing on identification of macroeconomic factor. Next, let's us talk the war's impact on Indonesia's economic variables. Include 1. Government of Indonesia foreign debt. The increasing global commodity prices may impact globally and increase the burden of foreign debt for the Indonesian government. 2. The war may change global conditions which could lead to an uncertain investment climate, hence it will impact on foreign portfolio investment in Indonesia. The last topic, Indonesian trade balance phenomena. It's important to understand that the war will have a ripple effect on the global economy and can have direct and indirect impact on other emerging countries, like Indonesia. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine is an ongoing conflict that began long time ago when Russia annexed Crimea, a region that had previously been part of Ukraine. The conflict has had a significant impact on the political and economic landscape of the region and international conditions. Here we are some key milestones in the war include. In 2014, Russia annexes Crimea, leading to widespread condemnation and economic sanctions from the international community. In 2016, the United States and European Union extended economic sanctions against Russia, following an increase in Russian military aggression in Ukraine. It is indeed true that the world has been hoping for a resolution to the conflict between Russia and Ukraine that would bring about peace and stability. But we witnesses increased military activity by Russia in the region, including the buildup of troops and military equipment along the border, have certainly raised concerns about the possibility of further aggression. These actions have sparked a response from the international community, with calls for de-escalation and restraint from both sides. But, on the 24th of February 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine after months of Russia's preparation and mobilization of troops, weapons, and war logistics near Ukraine border. There are several key economic theories that are considered important as a foundation for further discussion in this video. One of the most prominent is the theory of Keynesian economics, developed by John Maynard Keynes. This theory argues that government intervention in the economy can help to stabilize it and promote economic growth. Specifically, during times of economic downturn, government spending can help to stimulate demand and boost economic activity. This theory has had significant impact on macroeconomic policy and is still widely studied and discussed today. Another important theory is the theory of proxy wars, which was first proposed by Richard Ned Lebo. This theory argues that many conflicts between countries are not directly fought, but rather through proxy actors. This theory helps to explain why some countries are not directly involved in a war but they still have an impact, and how they use proxies to achieve their goals without directly engaging in battle. This theory has relevance in current global political and economic situation, that can be used as a framework for analyzing conflicts. Lastly, The Heckscher-Ohlin theory, developed by Eli Heckscher and Bertil Ohlin. This theory focuses on how a country's comparative advantage in the production of certain goods and services can lead to trade between countries. By this theory we can understand trade patterns and its effect on the economic relationship between countries. It highlights how trade can create mutual benefits for countries, and the role of resource endowment, technology, and preference in determining comparative advantage. Macroeconomics is the study of how a country's economy functions as a whole, including topics such as inflation, unemployment, and economic growth. It examines the behavior of aggregate variables such as GDP, unemployment rates, and price indices, and the interaction between different sectors of the economy. The Russian economy has been under pressure since the end of the Cold War. The collapse of the Soviet Union led to a period of economic turmoil and instability, which has continued to the present day. The end of the Cold War led to a sudden shift in the Russian economy. The country was forced to transition from a centrally planned economy to a market-based system. This process was not easy, and it led to a sharp decline in economic activity and a rise in unemployment and poverty. Hyperinflation and loss of purchasing power haunted Russia's citizen, and also hampered by low oil prices and lost its economic domestic capabilities. This has been exacerbated by a series of economic sanctions imposed by Western countries in response to Russia's actions in Ukraine and other geopolitical issues. In recent years, economic sanctions imposed by Western countries have further compounded the economic difficulties faced by Russia. The sanctions have targeted key sectors of the Russian economy, including finance, energy, and defense. It is often argued that Russia's decision to annex Crimea and start war with Ukraine was motivated, at least in part, by economic considerations. According to this view, the probable scenario that Russia's actions were driven by a desire to protect its economic interests, and eliminate a potential competitor for its key exports. 1. Russia and Ukraine have similarities in export commodities, energy, defense, and agriculture, which are the country's main source of revenue and compete in the international market. 2. Significant role of Ukraine as major market for Russian exports, but recent years, Ukraine has sought to diversify its economy and reduce its dependence on Russia, which may have been perceived as a threat by Russian officials. 3. Prevent Ukraine from joining the EU and NATO, which can create obstacle of Russia's export to Ukraine market, sanction, and the opening Ukraine's market with EU, USA and allied products to replace Russia commodity. 4. Probable conclusion that Russia saw the opportunity to annex Crimea and support separatist groups in eastern Ukraine to secure its economic interests and protect its key exports. Let's talk impact of the ongoing Ukraine-Russia war into Indonesian government foreign debt, especially the potential indirect impacts. One possible impact of the conflict could be that it has contributed to global economic uncertainty, which could have affected Indonesia's ability to borrow money from foreign sources. Economic uncertainty can lead to increased risk for investors and lenders, which can make it more difficult for countries like Indonesia to access financing from foreign sources. Let's see and observe the data provided carefully. From 2009 until 2020, we saw consistent increase in the Indonesians' foreign debts. But then started 2021, government succeeded to control the foreign debt. Since 2021, the position and growth of the government's foreign debt has consistently decreased. According to Bank Indonesia, and other institutions, several factors led to a decrease in the government's foreign debt, namely, realization of government debt payments that exceeded the target, a shift in the placement of foreign investors, non-resident, funds in domestic government securities, SBN, in line with high uncertainty on global financial markets. The Russia-Ukraine war, which triggered high inflation globally, has made the central bank of the USA, the Fed, very aggressive in raising its benchmark interest rate, so that this year it reaches 4.25% to 4.5%. The increase triggered a soaring yield on US bonds, Treasury, so that the difference with the SBN coupon narrowed. As a result, many foreign funds returned to the USA. In addition, global conditions, COVID-19, the Russia-Ukraine war, rising commodity prices, the USA versus China trade war, which were filled with uncertainty, made foreign investors withdraw their funds from emerging market countries, including from Indonesia. We have to give credit and support to Indonesia government of this successful achievement. This is in contrast to the general trend of increasing foreign debt in many other countries. Moreover, the Indonesian government has implemented policies to decrease the amount of foreign debt. These policies include increasing tax revenues, cutting government spending, and implementing structural reforms to improve the business environment. The war has put a lot of pressure on global economic conditions that can indirectly impact on the investment sector in Indonesia, though it is difficult to quantify the precise extent of these impacts. Some of the ways in which the conflict may have affected investment in Indonesia include global economic uncertainty. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine has contributed to global economic uncertainty, which can make it more difficult for emerging countries, like Indonesia, to attract investment. Trade disruptions. The war may have disrupted trade between the two countries, which could have had an indirect impact on Indonesia's exports and imports. Investment climate. The sentiment that Russia is experiencing sanctions may cause doubts in the realization of foreign investment originating from Russia in Indonesia. Collaboration between economic uncertainty and changes in investment climate can lead to increased risk for foreign investors, who may be more hesitant to invest in countries with unstable economic conditions. Despite the global economic uncertainty, data demonstrates a robust increase in foreign investment in Indonesia, indicating a strong level of confidence in the country's potential for growth and success. It is imperative that we continue to collaborate and support the government in realizing investments, both domestic and foreign. By working together, we can achieve sustainable economic progress. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine has had a number of indirect impacts on Indonesia's trade balance, though it is difficult to quantify the precise extent of these impacts. Some of the ways in which the conflict may have affected Indonesia's trade balance include trade disruptions. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine may have disrupted trade between the two countries and global supply chain, especially for wheat, corn, crude oil and other commodities, which could have had an indirect impact on Indonesia's exports and imports related with Russia or Ukraine. Economic uncertainty. Of course, this war has contributed to global economic uncertainty, price jumps, shortage of supply, and excreta, which could potentially affect on lowering Indonesia's exports abilities and increase imports values. Despite of that condition, data from the Central Bureau of Statistics, BPS, shows that Indonesia's trade surplus has increased in recent years. While Indonesia does import wheat, corn, and other products from Russia and Ukraine, Indonesia has been able to maintain a positive trade balance overall. As a short closing to this video, let me present a brief summary of the previous presentations and hopefully provide a basis for further discussion. The impacts of the war to Indonesian economics. Number 1. It can be seen the possible economic reasons for this war are: Russia wants to maintain Ukraine as a market for its leading export commodities and prevent it from joining Western alliances that may hinder Russia's ability to export its product. Number 2. The Indonesia's foreign debt is influenced by a wide range of factors, not only by the Ukraine-Russia war. I personally stated that the impact of the war on Indonesia's foreign debt was classified as neutral. Number 3. In terms of Indonesian foreign investment, like many emerging countries, is hit by global economics uncertainty. Despite this challenging environment, foreign investment in Indonesia continues to increase. I will say, the impact of war on Indonesia foreign investment may be classified as slightly negative. Number 4. The global economic landscape is constantly changing. We have seen higher prices of energy and commodities, as well as supply chain disturbances, all of which can have an impact on trade balance. However, despite these challenges, I am pleased to report that over the last 3 years, our trade balance has consistently increased. This is a testament to the hard work and dedication of our businesses and trade partners, who have persevered despite the difficult economic environment. Thank you to everyone. We hope that you all have gained valuable knowledge and inspiration from it. We look forward to seeing you all again at the next video. Terima kasih.